A Pōwhiri welcomes Prime Minister John Key to the lakeside at Taupo ahead of this year's Ironman competition. Well, back from the lake, nervous athletes, professionals and age groupers alike are making their final preparations as the first fingers of dawn creep over the horizon. While the PM watches from the shoreline, the athletes enter the water, ready for the start of one of the world's most gruelling races. Ironman New Zealand is the world's first international Ironman race and is now celebrating its 26th year. Athletes swim 3.8 kilometres, bike 180 and finally run a marathon. Top athletes take around 9 or 10 hours. Mere mortals can take up to 17 hours before they're listed as DNF. Did not finish. The New Zealand Army fires a cannon to start the race, and then it's a washing machine on the lake as 1,200 athletes set off. The first three men out of the water are Nzone, Taupo and Cameron Brown, and the three of them stay in the lead for the rest of the day. This year saw the remarkable Cameron Brown run in for his 9th win, the only person in the world ever to win 9 times at one event. Like a machine, he picks his opposition off, one by one, including the new boy on the block, Taupo. Nzone came in a creditable second and looks set to claim Brown's crown, if he ever gives it up, that is. 36-year-old Jo Lawn celebrated her 7th victory, reclaiming the title that she lost to Gina Crawford last year. She was so fast that there was only 6 men ahead of her. She broke the course record for women. She admits Ironman is a rough sport. But how rough is rough? Dr. John Hellemans is one of New Zealand's leading triathlon coaches with a background in sports medicine and his own career as an elite athlete representing New Zealand internationally. He says Ironman pushes the human body to the absolute limit.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme from a medical and physiological point of view. What they're doing, they're certainly pushing the boundaries and go beyond the boundaries of your physiology, what your physiology can handle. So they use their stubbornness and their mind to overcome that particular obstacle, really. So it's a very fine line for them between succeeding and reaching their goals and breaking down.
Taupo comes to a standstill on Ironman Day as athletes shoot through the town on their bikes before heading to the second transition area and then onto the marathon. By this stage, it's easy to see how hard some of the athletes are having to work physically and mentally as they try to keep going. John Hellemans says no one really knows what long-term effects they're having on their body.
Well, there's no real scientific studies being done, but there's a lot of data available now from all the Ironman races which have been held over the years. So it'll be very interesting to look at those Ironman athletes' health over time. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that there is, wearing out of body parts, in particular the muscles, which become chronically inflamed, can become chronically inflamed. There are some dulling of the mind involved as well. So you often see fatigue bordering on chronic fatigue. So that becomes, habitual. That's how they feel. So they think that's normal, that they should feel like that. So it's not always healthy. I think those long extreme distances from a sports medicine point of view are not always that healthy.
As the day progresses, watchers become aware of the differences between the two groups competing. Elite professional athletes seem to cope with the rigours of the race, as do some of the age groupers. But further down the field it becomes clear that many finishers are reaching the end of the race through sheer grit and determination. The so-called weekend warriors doing their training in their spare time discover just how demanding the sport of Ironman is.
Most people don't really have the genes and the physiology to be able to do those distances without getting into trouble, getting sick, really. So the warriors, the people who want to do it once or twice as a challenge, they have to be very careful. You never really copy what elite athletes do, when you're a beginner in particular. So that's one of the problems which we have in the sport, that a lot of the coaches are pretty elite, and when they coach the beginners, they tend to overtrain them. And so the whole thing hinges on having a program which suits your physiology and your background, also your sporting background and your starting level of fitness. So that's a real challenge to get that right.
He says some personality types are particularly suited to Ironman, but there is a danger there too.
If it is obsessive neurotic behavior and you are aware yourself of that behavior and you try and manage it, it's okay. However, a lot of Ironman athletes who keep doing what they're doing, they think they're managing it, but they're not quite. They're slightly out of control. And that's the ones who sort of end up in the end with chronic fatigue, depression, chronic injuries and things like that.
But for all the dangers of the sport, Ironman is still compulsive viewing. The camaraderie of the athletes as they encourage each other home is a celebration of their humanity. The sight of families full of love and pride at what their Ironman has done is intensely moving, and the sight of ordinary people digging deep to find reserves of physical and spiritual strength to complete what seems at first sight impossible is nothing short of inspiring.